Maju selalu menjunjung tanah airku Indonesia. Dari Sabang sampai Merauke, berjajar pulau-pulau, sambung menyambung menjadi satu, itulah Indonesia. Indonesia tanah airku, aku berjanji padamu, menjunjung tanah airku Indonesia, menjunjung tanah airku Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam nama budaya, salam kebajikan. Greeting of peace to all of us. To Professor Dr. Dedi Purwana ISM Bas, the Director of the Graduate School of Universitas Negeri Jakarta, the leadership of the Graduate School of Universitas Jakarta, our honored guest speaker, Professor Reka Cole, the program coordinators, esteemed lecturers, and distinguished guests, a very warm welcome. We are truly delighted to have you all of us to join for the International Visiting Scholars 2026 organized by the Graduate School of Universitas Negeri Jakarta in collaboration with the Doctoral and Master's Program in Educational Research and Evaluation. It's truly an honor to have all of you here with us this morning. Today we will be joining the public lecture titled Researching Classroom Learning Environment, Theory, Instrument, and Evaluation, delivered by Professor Reka Cole from Curtin University, Australia. Before we move into the main program, let us stand together to sing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. May I ask all of the guests to please rise. Thank you. Please be seated. I would like now to invite Professor Dr. Dedi Purwana ISM Bas, Director of the Graduate School of Universitas Negeri Jakarta, to deliver her welcome remarks and formally open this event. Please, Professor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Head of Cooperation Center and Internationalization of Graduate School of Universitas Negeri Jakarta, Professor Setiabudi, Head of Evaluation Education Study Program, Professor Wardani Rahayu, used to be our Deputy Director for Academic Affairs, Professor Wardani Rahayu, and also Senior Lecturer at Education Evaluation Study Program, Professor Ahmad Ridwan. I think you know him better than me. Then Professor Faisal, Professor Mutia, and also other professor. I'm sorry, I couldn't mention one by one. And our beloved student. It's my great pleasure to welcome you today to academic session organized as part of International Visiting Scholar Program 2026 of the Graduate School Universitas Negeri Jakarta. This program is part of our commitment to strengthening internationalization by providing opportunities for our academic community to learn from distinguished scholar and professor, and to develop international academic and research collaboration. Today, we are very honored to welcome Professor Reka Ho from Curtin University, Australia. I make a little bit joke this morning with her because she's coming from Perth, and I took my master degree in La Trobe University, Melbourne, and some Indonesian students also make a joke. Perth is our 28th province of Indonesia. At the time, we have 27 provinces because Perth is near to Indonesia, and then we call it 28th province of Indonesia because too many Indonesian people study there. Professor Cole is a professor of science education and a leading researcher in STEM education and classroom learning environment. Her research focuses on learning environment, educational assessment and evaluation, and the development and validation of research instruments. Today, she will share her expertise through a lecture entitled Researching Classroom Learning Environment, Theory, Instruments, and Evaluation. We believe this topic is highly relevant for our postgraduate students, lecturers, and researchers, particularly in strengthening our capacity to conduct rigorous and evidence-based educational research. I encourage all participants to actively engage in the lecture, ask questions, and take this opportunity to build meaningful academic connection with Professor Cole. On behalf of Graduate School of Universitas Negeri Jakarta, I declare to open officially this academic activity today with say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, and thanks again, Professor Cole, for your time to share with our lecturer and student. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Prof. Dedi, for your remarks and guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, we now arrive at the main agenda of this morning session. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker for today. Before we start, maybe we can take a picture together with the director first, please, for the lecturers to stand up. Yes. Yeah. For the lecturers and distinguished guests, please, to take a picture first. Right. Okay. Rumah pasca. Anji. Thank you. Sama peserta satu lagi. Prof. Reka, please, to join the group photo. Gini aja, iya. Oke. Fotografer dari depan. Ya, biar selanya terisi. Yang di belakang boleh merapat ke tengah dulu biar diisi. Ya, baik. Oke. Oke, terima kasih. Silakan duduk kembali, please be seated. Prof. Reka, please. Laptop? Oh, okay. Oh, yes, we already have your presentation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we now arrive at the main agenda of this morning session. So let me please introduce our distinguished speaker for today. Our speaker this morning is Professor Reka Cole, professor at the School of Education, Faculty of Humanities, Curtin University, Australia. Professor Cole currently serves as a deputy head and discipline lead of the STEM research group with nearly 4 decades of teaching and research experience. Her expertise lies in the development, refinement, and validation of research questionnaire, the investigation of classroom learning environment, and their effect on student outcomes, as well as program and curriculum evaluation. She is the regional editor for Learning Environments Research International, published by Springer, and sits on multiple international editorial and advisory boards. Professor Cole convenes the International Conference on Science, Mathematics, and Technology Education, known as ICSMTE, held annually across different countries. She has secured numerous national and international research grants, authored and edited several books, published extensively in leading journals on learning environments and STEM education. Professor Cole also has a long-standing collaboration with Universitas Negeri Jakarta. She helped establish the e-learning environment research center here at UNJ and has co-authored several studies with our own faculty members, including Professor Wardani Rahayu. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Reka Cole to the stage. Good morning, Professor Cole. So actually in Australia, they call you Professor Cole or Reka? Reka, okay, Reka. Prof. Reka, okay. Welcome to Jakarta, Prof. Reka. How are you feeling this morning? Excited. Alhamdulillah. Okay, thank you. Is this your first visit to NJ this year, or have you been here this year? Yes. Okay. Oh, it's quite a long time. Yeah, yeah. That's wonderful to hear. Okay, without taking up more your time, the floor is your professor. We would love to hear about researching classroom learning environment. So the time is yours, Prof. Okay, for the presentation. Yes, you can stand. The clicker. Do we have the clicker, Mbak Er? Ini di belakang. Ada clicker. So the clicker, there is the clicker, but we still get it to the. How is the possibility that I can control this? Oh, I think no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can just
Okay.
signal.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's okay. Oh, the clicker is there's no clicker. I'm so sorry.
I'm so that
Yes.
I know what I am. That's okay. There's no stress. There is no stress. As teachers, we should be ready to adopt and adapt whatever is available. And I'm not talking to the people sitting in front, but our younger generation who are getting trained as teachers, going into the classrooms, whether it's in school or an university environment, not always whatever is available. What our responsibility is to give the best possible service to the students, because our students are becoming a part of the society. The way we behave, we are enculturing our students to, fit into those roles. And I've learned quite a lot from my supervisors, my professors, the way they behaved. We put that into practice. So no stress. So yeah, that's what like coming as a deputy head of school is my all the time. What I try to do is to serve our students to best possible capacity we can do. Anyhow, good morning, salamat pagi, and as I was asked, how are you feeling? Yes, I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm humbled by seeing so accomplished professors and researchers in front of me. And today's talk, I'm going to talk about some of my experiences around the learning environment research, because we already have a learning environment center developed in UNJ, and publications in good quality journals have already come out. It would be good to see the younger generation going ahead with more research and making it as their strength, because I know for certain reason, Curtin University was known as Mecca of learning environment research. But because of certain reasons, that SMEC, Science and Mathematics Education Center, was closed nearly 10, 12 years back, and the leadership split, people get older and all. I feel I'm the only one left from that, myself and Jill Aldridge, who is also going now part-time. I'm trying to empower people around the world, wherever I can go, in China, India, Indonesia, which are like Indonesia is also fourth populous country in the world, where at least that research can survive and empower students and teachers and researchers of future. So moving ahead, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, this is something which, this quote I would have used multiple times. And when I present, I say, oh, I've used it so many times, but I end up using it again and again, because it lets us know is how important our roles are. Sometimes we do get comments like I've heard from even professors in Curtin University, because they would have been school teachers and then they come to university, do a PhD, join academia. And, I was only a teacher then. And I tell them, a teacher can't be only. Teacher is very important. And what is the teacher's role? Whether we are teaching or we are preparing teachers for future, is what Ginot has said, I have come to a frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element in a classroom. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I have tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. If we have, miserable children, we will have what's happening currently in the world is escalation of mental health issues. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. My teachers have been inspiration for me. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response as a teacher that decides whether crisis will be escalated or de-escalated. And finally, a child humanized or dehumanized. And I've been looking at the Indonesian curriculum documents which are coming around the deep learning. The first pillar there is faith, which is through faith, how can you make humans? Learning science, technology is secondary, but if we can create good humans, that is the role of any society. And now that we are living in a global world, that is what we should be doing. But for that, we have to know what is important for, what are the requirements of the current generation. Possibly I come from the group of baby boomers. Our upbringing and requirement at that time would have been slightly different. Then possibly, I'm pretty sure there will be lots of children here from Generation Z. And then now even alphas are getting that voice. So it's important. I can't take it for granted what were my needs. They will be the needs of this generation or the generation you will be going to teach. So we really need to research that. Although learning environment research is nearly 50 years old, instruments may be valid even today, but children's needs are changing. So how do we cater to that? Before catering, we have to identify the changing needs. Can you understand, everyone, what I'm speaking at the back? Yes, okay. Okay, next slide, please. So if when we talk about learning environments, some people call it classroom climate, some call it learning environment, and some could call it educational environments. Educational environments, we generally look at the psychosocial needs of the students or students' perceptions of the psychosocial environment in the classroom. And research on these environments generally assumes that students, curricular, teacher, and other internal and external factors affect the environment. In this research, we don't measure students' achievements. Instead, we look at what their needs are. Because I may come that may be in one of the slides later on, because research has shown once we improve the environment, achievement automatically goes up. There is a positive correlation between positive environment and student achievement. And we have run many, many studies in this area. And what we look at is the students' motivation, that measures of ability or achievement are not measured. We only look at, are they motivated enough? Are they happy enough? Or how can we make them accept the environment they are? What are their needs? Please. Yeah. Okay. My predecessor or my mentor, Professor Barry Fraser, who started, or he didn't start it, but I would say he popularized learning environment research, and he did some mathematics. And according to him, a student spends nearly 20,000 hours in a classroom-like situation by the time they finish their first undergraduate degree. And these 20,000 hours is a significant amount of time in any individual's life, because rest of the time they may go home, do other things, and close to 20 or maybe slightly more than that, they will end up as sleep time. So most of their waking time they spend in a classroom like situation. So isn't it a big responsibility on us as a teacher to, because that gives us power to shaping not only these students' lives, it gives us that responsibility to shape the society of tomorrow. And I see ourselves, all of us, as builders of society. So this is something which is happening in most of the world. As educators, we rely more on measuring achievement. How many marks? Yesterday, we ran a workshop, and eventually it came to how are we going to grade it? It was a STEM activity where teachers were asked to build their hand with a cardboard, some straws, and a string, and tell us where's the science, where's the mathematics, and whatever. Then they had a grading sheet, and eventually I made them do a rubric, but what was qualitative assessment was not seen good enough till we get a quantitative number. So, but we don't look at how are they feeling. And unless and until you look at their motivation, you look at the emotion in the classroom, it's very difficult to get them interested in this study. And that's what learning environment research does. And as I said, giving time and attention to learning environment research is not a waste of time, because as I again told you, the research studies have shown, when we run intervention studies and we ask children what is their preferred learning environment, and if teachers are investing in one of the behaviors, other behaviors also show positive trend, and that influences the student motivation, and then it impacts student achievement directly. So again, going to learning environment research would have started somewhere in 1930s, which is nearly 100 years back. Levin, he came up with this formula where is behavior is the environment, is the outcome of environment and personality, which is an earlier psychologist's way of thinking. So the type of environment you provide and the personality of a child. Personality you cannot change because they are born with certain personal traits, but environment can be provided. And as soon as the environment is to their liking, their behavior will change. So learning environment, earliest learning environment research drew on Levin's work, and then somewhere in, and they were all psychologists. Murray came into being, and they developed the needs press, which was again looking at the motivation in in the classroom, actually, they were working in hospitals. It was more from health sciences and mental health issues. And they had the personal needs representation, and then environmental press is the external situation, how it impacts one's behavior. Next, please. And I think, do I need to go through all this? Is needs press, which as Murray went on to the alpha press and then moving on to beta press. And then we had Pace and Stern, who built onto the Murray's work. And finally, we had in classroom environment research, this leads to common distinction between two units of analysis, which is student and class. When we ask students about their perception, I feel safe in this classroom. That is his personal perspective, their personal perspective. Or we feel safe in this classroom. That means the student is not talking only about themselves, but it's the whole class. And these two responses can be very different, because in that case, the students are responding for the whole class. In this, I get along well with the teacher, or the students in this class get well with the teacher. So although these questions may seem similar, but the responses can be different. The student could be getting well with the teacher, but as a whole class may not be. And it even applies to us as not in a classroom situation. We are employees of an institution. I could be getting well along with my head of school, but I'm aware that lots of staff members in my school don't like head of school or don't like the vice chancellor. You have those sorts of differences. So that can impact. It could be, it doesn't come into the qualitative realm, but it can be, I get along, I could say 3, but I know everyone else likes vice chancellor for when we are talking about the whole class. You could rate it as 5 on a 5-point Likert scale. So responses can vary. And that's where the alpha and beta press will come into being. Then we did draw on the Bandura's social cognitive theory, where they talk about the self-efficacy. The concept of self-efficacy is very, very important, because that is something which gives us that to-do attitude. Because if I believe I can do it, I will do it. If I don't have belief in my own strengths or in my own capacity, I will not do it. I will struggle to do it. Same applies to a teacher and to the classroom. And this learning environment research doesn't only apply to the students, it applies to teachers. I had a student who worked in a large school in Singapore, and one of the questionnaires which is widely used is QTI, questionnaire on teacher education interaction. Instead of using it with students, the student used it with the staff in the school. And they used it as PTI, principal teacher interaction. So what was the perception of teachers about the principal? And then that feedback was given to principal. We also did principal's perception of their own interactions, and then when principal was given their teachers ratings, they did make certain behavioral changes, and that changed the whole school. It was so powerful to see a small questionnaire which teachers could complete in less than 20 minutes. And based on that, you give feedback to principal. The scenario in the whole school changed, and that too positive. Next, please. So, Bandura's social cognitive, the influence of these two factors, which was the Bandura, if a student does not feel that he or she will do well in a subject, this is what I did talk. This might influence their behavior, which in turn will reinforce the personal influence. Both of these factors are likely to influence environment, that is, the teacher may become less supportive, which again will influence both the behavior and personal influence. If I see students who are not engaged in a classroom, it does impact teachers' behavior as well. So it's not a one-way traffic, but teachers have to be receptive because responsibility is on teachers. And you would look at this, what is personal determinants, and it's a cyclic factor. You keep on changing, like and because in Hope it's not a smart screen, if we keep on changing the environment, so it will impact personal determinants as well as behavior. To improve the behavior, everything else will change. So it is cyclic, and that's where the learning, or I would say the theory of learning environment research lies in. Then, so we went on to the historical beginnings, and then we had Wahlberg and Moose, and these stalwarts we are losing. We lost Wahlberg nearly 4 years, I think nearly 4 years back in 22 or 3. And Wahlberg started work in actual classrooms somewhere in early 70s from University of Chicago. And the first learning environment scale they developed was based on the Harvard project in physics. And Moose, they talked about the social climate scales, where Moose was working in psychiatric hospitals within US. Then what happens? Since the first studies by Wahlberg and Moose, numerous surveys have been developed. And these surveys has developed for different subjects, different purposes, and like could be, is a class dominated by teacher or is it student-centered? We always talk about a student-centered classroom. What does that look like? Like when we talk about Indonesia for last 2 years, we have been talking about deep learning. And in Australian curriculum, the word they use is visible learning. We should have visible learning, or we should have deep learning. As a teacher comes to me and tells me, yes, the way we teach, it's deep learning or it is visible learning. The question which comes into my mind, what does deep learning look like? No one can tell me. What is visible learning? Do you see it outside? Like, there are certain things. If I can give you one example. You have 2 types of doctors. One is like it's nothing wrong about those doctors, but these are specializations. Certain specializations are you have a surgeon, they will open, they will set it right, sew it back, and go back home. Now you are treated. On the other hand, you have a dermatologist. I have a small something black here. They will give me a small cream, go and apply it 3 times a day for 3 weeks, and come back after 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, I go back. It either has worked or not. If it hasn't worked, they will change it. And those results will take time, but are visible. But in case of teachers, is it visible? It is not visible, and we're calling it visible learning. What is happening there? We say that our class is student-centered. How does it look like? And how do you measure it? And learning environment research is a potent way of looking at that, the climate you have created, the environment you have created. And it doesn't improve your scores, it doesn't give you scores, but it gives you a pathway towards improving student motivation, which will then go into student learning. Students actively participate or sit and listen to teacher. A questionnaire like teacher interaction, which is more of a behavioral. Students cooperate and discuss with each other or work alone. In 21st century skills, we are putting so much emphasis on cooperation and communication. And I do get parents complaining to me, your teacher, because the staff member, we encourage them to give group projects to students. Although all our students are adults, parents are not supposed to give us any feedback, but in casual situations, you know what, my child was given a group project and my child was the only one worked on the project, others did not. But this child will be going into the world of work tomorrow, where they have to work in groups. We are working collaboratively. Whether I'm working in Curtin, I'm working with UNJ, there's so much of collaboration required, so much of communication required. And if we are not training our children right from the beginning, we are setting them for failure. So it has to start early. And is teacher doing it effectively? We don't know. And this research can tell us. And again, is teacher approachable and supportive? Unless children or the students, they connect with the teacher, they're not going to learn. They're not going to learn. They see, if they don't see that passion, compassion in the teacher, they're not going to learn. They won't enjoy the subject and they will not put in their best. They won't give their best. And that's where this research will come. All these questionnaires have been used in different countries, and I'm really proud to say we have had lots of Indonesians using these questionnaires. Even before I came to UNJ, we had quite a few students from here who have used these questionnaires. They have been translated into different languages, and some of them, quite a few, in Bahasa Indonesia, used by hundreds of researchers and thousands of teachers. Yeah. And keeping in these view, these questionnaires are easy to use. They provide easy, convenient way to obtain information for the teachers and provide that feedback to teachers as well as students. So as I was talking about there is a direct relationship between learning environment and student outcomes. Although learning environment research doesn't do anything with the learning outcomes, so research carried out over the last 50 years has provided strong and consistent evidence to suggest the learning environment is a determinant of student outcomes because there is that positive correlation. And this research that suggests that the context in which learning takes place has a strong influence on their achievement, motivation, and attitudes. If we have good student attitudes, positive student attitudes, it will impact their achievement. So research has established direct associations between the quality of learning environment and range of student outcomes, which are achievement, self-efficacy, attitude, motivation, confidence, and self-regulation. If we have these, behaviors in a student, we are setting them up for success, and not only that year, but success in life. And this consistent and overwhelming evidence that classroom climate influences student achievement suggests that it is not waste of time if we are, investing in improving our learning environments and to devote energy to improving classroom environment. Now, there can be many determinants of what a learning environment would look like. In 2014, Barry Fraser, he published a handbook of learning environments where he had the preface. And in that preface, he came up with 9 main types of learning environment research. And we are sticking with that for the time being. But I do know after this, I did, expand this research in a different, one more direction. And I did run a workshop last year here on that. So we are not going into that, but sticking with how Barry has done it. And he has looked at research. We can do research in associations between student outcomes and their environment, evaluating educational innovations, like if we are having innovation in the classroom, is it impacting the environment? Investigation of whether students achieve better when in their preferred environment. That means we ask their perception about actual and preferred environment, and then look at, make the environment the way they prefer, and is it impacting their outcomes, which it does. Where was I? Students involving independent variables, like are there gender differences? Earlier studies in learning environment showed, I can speak for at least Australian research, there used to be huge gender differences, especially in mathematics, physics. But over time, our research is showing that those gender differences are coming closer. We in Australia are in a very bad state right now as far as physics is concerned. Although there is a lot of money which has been poured into teaching of physics in high schools, which is very sad in a way. Einstein first, millions of dollars have gone into that project. But the way our trend lines are right now, if we continue like that by 2030 or 35, there will be very few students enrolling into physics, high school physics. And main reason behind that is universities used to have physics as a prereq. Physics is considered to be a difficult subject. But universities, what they have done, they have changed their requirement for entering certain courses like engineering. It used to be, physics used to be a prerequisite. Now they have removed it. Now that universities have removed it, students in high school don't study physics, which is really very sad. We may have to do something about it despite doing that. Or I would say they're not doing a good job. Teachers are not doing a good job at year 9 and 10, and students are losing interest. And when they reach year 11, they choose not to do physics. So that's something we could look at. Gender differences, cultural differences, like, hey, you could look at students coming from different islands of Indonesia, because Jakarta has students from all different places. I do look at the cultural differences in Australia based on language spoken at home, because we have people from 140 countries. It's a melting pot of different cultures. And then difference between actual and preferred environments, attempt to improve the learning environment. We could do teacher assessments or teacher education. Are our teachers really trained? In Australia, we have this trend of out of expertise teaching, keeping in view we don't have many mathematics teachers. So those who are not trained as mathematics teachers are teaching mathematics in high school. So how is it impacting the learning environment? Because teachers themselves will not be confident in their own capacity to teach. And how is that impacting? It's not only self-efficacy of the students, it's the self-efficacy of the teachers as well. So what happens when we talk about student outcome and environment? There is a strong tradition in learning environment that these two variables have impact each other, and students' perception account for appreciable amount of variance in learning environment. We could look at the variance. I think the paper you published has a variance factor, right? Yeah. You could go in for multi-level analysis or different types of analysis where learning is it diminishes return function of student age, ability, and motivation, quality and quantity of the instruction. There are different factors which can be taken into consideration when we are doing this research. How is mass media being used? Now, moving from mass media, now we have the social media. What's the impact of social media? Can we use social media as a learning tool in the classrooms, and what sort of environment will it develop? We used closed Facebook pages in multiple of our programs. And I found that because students are savvy, it was a potent tool to use with them instead of something else. It depends how you set it up. Next. So we can use learning environment tools, instruments where you can evaluate the innovation, like I talked about the social media or something else. Currently, we have AI, which is really, creating havoc, because I don't know what happening in our school. We don't have any examinations. Everything is assessment based. And we do ask students, have you used AI? They can say yes. And um, plagiarism has no way of discarding AI use. And what do? I was reading this morning. Now there will be a watermark. If you watermark whatever you produce through AI, so if there will be a watermark, at least students cannot copy and paste from there. They will at least have to read, retype, and do those things. Don't know to what extent we are doing. So can we use that as a tool in a smart way to create a better environment? And classroom environment has been found to differ between curricula, even when outcome measures did not. Like, we can have the same classroom giving different evaluation for the same teacher. Like you have classroom A and B, and a teacher is teaching mathematics in both the classrooms. One class can give a different rating for the same teacher as compared to the other cohort, because the personalities of those students come into being. We can't take it for granted that every student or every cohort will be complacent with these teachers. So the needs of every group can be different. A teacher teaching maths and science, their performance can vary. So what do we look at? Studies involving other independent variables are teacher personality, class size. You can have a classroom of 30 students, what we generally have in Australia, but I have gone to classrooms in India with 80 students. 80 students, a small classroom, 80 in Mumbai only, but teacher was so engaging. It depends upon the teaching, and one teacher, and they did it wonderfully. I was so impressed with that teacher. Grade level. The pedagogy used in year 3 can be different to pedagogy being used in year 10. Subject matter, science and maths, or in language and numeracy, the subject matter, nature of school level environment, and type of school. You can have different types of schools, private, public, certain religious organizations. I can talk about Australia, we have Catholic ed schools, we have public schools, Catholic ed, and independent schools. In independent schools, you can have anyone. We have Islamic school, we have Jewish schools, we have other schools. As soon as you enter the school, you know the environment in Cath Ed schools is different to independent schools, to the public school. And that does impact the overall environment of the school and then student achievements. Next, please. Do students achieve better in their preferred environment? Can anyone tell me, would it happen? It shows us, yes. Yeah. So what we do is we use both actual and preferred versions, and then we look at the differences. If they are significantly different, yes, look at their preferred, what would they want? Give that feedback to teacher. They make those changes in their behaviors, in the environment, and practical implication is that class achievement might be enhanced by changing the learning environment to make it more congruent with that or preferred by the class. Then that was what happened in initial stages. In early 2000s, or I would say just beginning of the century, learning environment research did make it themselves more comprehensive by adding qualitative element to the quantitative research or the quantitative factors which was being generated through these questionnaires to what, again, this is Barry Fraser's language. He said, we get to measure the different grain sizes. Like you have a pot of rice, you could have different types of grains. A brown rice can be smaller, the thick white rice you eat here, then you have the basmati. They're all rices, they're all grains. But these sizes are different. We can't take we can't take it for granted what is happening in a classroom in a public school in Jakarta or a very rich top-end private school. So these are different grain sizes. And we need to, we can't take everything for granted. What's the cultural differences? And the cultural differences are not only on country or religion or the culture. Every classroom has its own culture, and that culture changes with even the teacher. So let's examine that. And for that, you need to make sense of the quantitative data you have collected. And that happens through the qualitative data where interviews and classroom observations were included. Coming to school, because I don't think it is what happened through this, the role of school psychologists came into, being, because school psychologists got involved with the learning environment research. It provided opportunities for school psychologists to become sensitized to important aspects of classroom life, and whatever discrepancies between the actual and preferred environment were found, they were, there was a guide for improving them. In this research, we also looked at home environment and school environment. Is there, we are providing the same environment, and it does draw on the features of constructivism, because students in a classroom come from, if it's a class of 30 students, they're bringing in 30 environments. They're coming from 30 different cultural environments. So they bring the knowledge of their home into the classroom. And how is it impacting? And so that distinction was looked at, school level and classroom environment, which I said in the beginning, and sociocultural environment and student achievement. So learning environment research started here, and over time it widened. Now, after that, which we have been doing, is we looked at the cross-national studies, because again, the different grain sizes were put to examine, to look at, so what are the variation in variables of interest in different nations, and what could be familiar to me can be strange for you, or what's strange for me can be familiar for someone else. Unless you examine it, you take it for granted, And data can be used to guide collection of qualitative data, because if I have quantitative data on a set of in, say, Africa, that becomes a starting line for me to collect the qualitative data. Like if students are low in motivation in a given country, and then I have to collect qualitative data, I know where to start it and where to pitch my interviews, where to pitch my, even if these are observations, what do I go and do there? So it's all legacy of learning environment research. That's what I'm trying to make sense of right now here. And lots of research happened between when students are transitioning from primary to secondary schools. What happened is primary school is seen as a small pond. And as soon as they go into the high school, it is like, I think university is an ocean, but let's call high school a sea. Students have more subjects to read. In Australia, primary schools is a single teacher system. So students are with one teacher whole day long, other than some schools may have a specialist teacher in maths or science who comes once a week or twice a week. Otherwise, mainly they are with one teacher. As soon as they go into high school, a high school is a feeder school for at least 5 or 6 primary schools. So you have more students, you have subject area specialists. So you have to move from one class to the other, and they get lost. So what happens to their perceptions, and what sort of environment is being created, and how do they compete in that environment? A research which I recently did in Curtin University is, I looked at the students coming from public schools and private schools. Private school children, although they come to university with higher scores than the public school university, but by end of first year of university, 50% of private school students drop out of university because they can't cope up with the environment. They are spoon-fed in private schools, and in university, no one is ready to do that. They're not ready to do that, and they drop out. They can't cope. They can't cope. And public school students, they have developed that muscle. They have developed that muscle, and they survive through that. That's another responsibility of the teacher, to get them ready. But since public schools are focused only to attract the parents, they are ready to show how much high scores they get. They fail. They don't prepare them for life. They only prepare them for a score. And this learning environment research comes handy, and I'm going to work on it further and see what we can do there. So so we do examine, we do look at examines changes in the students' perception from primary to school, primary to secondary, but it's really difficult because students may not stay in the region, may not be in that feeder area, but we try to do whatever we can. But this is one of the aspects of learning environment research, what you can do. Next. You can, as far as learning environment research is concerned, it can be incorporated in teacher education, what UNJ is good at. And we haven't done it very well I can tell you, Curtin University, which was seen as Mecca of learning environment research, in our School of Education, currently we don't have a unit on learning environment because it is not mandated by the Australian government in ITE, which is really sad. But we can use it as to sensitize teachers to important aspects of classroom life, illustrate usefulness of including classroom environment as an assessment, and provide valuable feedback to the teacher. And eventually it will be a guide for classroom improvement. And it can be used as performance dimension of the teacher if they're improving their learning environment. I don't know how I'm going with the time and boring you all. Next, please. Now, there is lots of criticism. What are we doing in learning environment? They are taking students' perception. Aren't perceptions, if we talk about the constructivism, isn't perception a part of constructivism? So, yeah, that is, on one side, we have theory. Yeah, we build on that. So it is a very economical tool. In 60s or 70s, when learning environment research started, we at least had to print these questionnaires. We at least had to grade them, put them into a data file. Nowadays, we have so many programs. Send a questionnaire to students, they will fill. Everyone has a smartphone or a device, fill it up, it comes to you in an Excel, and you create those profiles, which is instant feedback and in a very economical way. Doing qualitative research takes time, and making sense of that, analyzing that takes time. But if we are using a tool, especially a validated tool, it can be used by teachers for instant feedback. And it can be over a longer period. When we look at, we do classroom observation, you're doing for that 1 hour. But you can ask students what happened over last 1 year. What is your perception? And we do take into consideration opinions of all students. And student perceptions are determinants of student behavior. And students' perceptions have been found to account for more variance in learning outcomes than observed behavior. So I'm reiterating with every slide that if we invest in learning environment research, it's not waste of time. It is going towards a success of students and your institution. So what do? We have lots of tools which have been validated and they are ready for use. And I know Yuli has done an amazing job of translating them in Bahasa Indonesia, and some of them have been even validated. But every study we do, I always ask my researchers that we should be at least establishing the functional validity of tool, because every sample is different. So when I have to do a PhD student comes to me or a research project comes to me, first question I ask them, what do you want to do? And how are you going to do it? What is your research questions or aims and methods? So don't go walk around, define your research aims and what will be the methods you will use to get answer to your questions. So that is the constructs will come in research aims. Do a review of literature around it. And most students tell me, I'll develop a questionnaire. Mine is, if there's already a questionnaire developed, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If it's already ready, why do you need to develop your own? Review the literature and see is there anything which is fitting in your research? Why do you want to do it again? And there could be few things your constructs are covered, but one construct is not. So you can invest in that construct. So, and based on that review of literature, develop the questionnaire items. Next is establish content validity. Content validity is done by giving your questionnaire to experts for their feedback. If the language has been correctly done, anything, then conduct those cognitive interviews with the experts and also pilot test it. Assess the reliability, which can be done by Cronbach Alpha. That's the easiest way to do it. And some people always say, I did Cronbach Alpha and my tool is valid. Cronbach Alpha is not a test of reliability. Sorry, a validity. It only establishes the reliability of your scale or tool. Then next would be the factor structure. In factor structure, we do the exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis. And nowadays, I read certain, that's me, I will read the earlier studies where statistics was used in research, especially educational research, and the basic analysis which was done in 70s and 80s. Now with these statistical packages, more and more statistics is being pumped into because these packages have made it available. I'm not very sure do people really understand what they're doing. So it's very important that we read, is this analysis required? And what is it showing? When we send our papers for publishing, the reviewers say, yes, you have done the confirmatory factor analysis. I would want you to do, what about exploratory? That's where they're going. But is it required? That needs to be established. And as a researcher, if you have done your homework, you've read the literature around, you can respond to. And I've done that and it got accepted. Then we do need to establish the final would be the validity. The problem is when we talk about validity, there is no single test which can establish the validity of a tool. We do say it is valid. So there comes, we may have to look at the convergent, discriminant, and criterion release validity. Because it is taken for granted. Yes, we did correlation. We looked at different things. But if all tests are showing, and it depends, it's very situations related, what sort of validity we are aspiring for. And then we can even look at the invariance, which can be variance between the different variables within the study. And I would say, which could be like different groups like gender, students, different year levels. Is there a difference between year 6 and 8's perception of the same environment? You won't find much difference between 6 and 7, but there will be a big difference between 6 and 8 because that's the age where you will see change. Or 8 and 11, you'll see a huge difference. And it depends upon when we come back to your research aims. And instrument functions equally across different groups. I think, can we go to the next? Today, for a quick one, because I thought it's going to be a workshop. That's what I was understood when I came from Perth, is what I have going to do is sharing science laboratory learning environment, instrument inventory with you. And it was developed a while back by Fraser and his colleagues. And it has 5 scales of 35 items. And on a 5-point Likert scale, it's a factorial structure established in many countries. And Indonesia is one of them. And to start with, it was given to students as a personal form. So what I am going to do is give a questionnaire to you. I don't think I have enough copies, but you can share between 2 each. And let's look at the structure of the questionnaire. And the questionnaire, which was developed more than 30 years back, nearly 40 years back, does that apply today? Will it be applicable in your classrooms right now? Can we go to the next slide? I don't remember what I have put there. No, go back. Sorry. These are some of my students currently working on it.
Jadi maksudnya Prof. Reka itu teman-teman dan Bapak Ibu semua disuruh untuk mengevaluasi apakah butir-butir yang ada di lembaran tersebut masih bisa diaplikasikan di tahun sekarang atau di nowadays gitu. Ini tuh kan instrumen yang dibuat mungkin 1992 ya. Jadi butirnya itu udah lama sekali. Nah, kalau ini digunakan, instrumen ini digunakan sekarang, apakah masih bisa relatable dengan kondisi yang sekarang apa enggak? Jadi bukan yang diisi instrumennya, tapi yang dievaluasi adalah butirnya. Karena kita sebagai seorang pengembang instrumen, jadi kita harus mengevaluasi butirnya kalau dipakai sekarang kira-kira relatable enggak gitu. Ya. Oke.
Get up. I would have loved that all of us go on a jog, but we can't. So let's shake our shoulders. Warm up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Are you relaxed enough? Okay, we can sit now. Now, if you would have looked at the questionnaire, we have the demographic information on one side, but on other side, question number 1, 6, 11, 16, 21, 26, and 31 are from the scale of student cohesiveness. I did get some feedback from Pierre, which was for question number 12, which is on from the scale of open-endedness. We will talk about that later. Can anyone, any volunteer, get up and tell me, are these questions really belonging to student cohesiveness? Student cohesiveness means, can anyone tell me what does student cohesiveness means? That as a group, if you look at a classroom, are students friendly with each other? Do they get along with each other well? If they don't get well along each other, we are not creating a positive learning environment for students. It happens in any institution, and the basic institution of any society is family. If family members don't get well along each other, that family is doomed to fail. Same is with the classroom. So the questions for student cohesiveness are, I get on well with students in this laboratory class because this is the science laboratory questionnaire. I have little chance to get to know other students in this laboratory class. I have little chance, but then if you look at on the side, this is a negatively worded question. And what we do is we reverse the scores. If students say never, we almost never, we give it a high mark because we change it. Same is, the other question is, member of this laboratory class help me. It's positive. I get to know students in this laboratory well, again, positive. I am able to depend on other students for help during laboratory class, positive. Then you have one more negative. It takes me long time to get to know everybody by his, her first name in this laboratory class, which is negative. I work cooperatively in the laboratory session, is positive. Can someone here volunteer to get up and read all questions for open-endedness? One person. Otherwise, I will pick you up. A volunteer. Why are you shy? Teachers are always, they jump. Please get up. May I know your name, please? Okay. What are you studying?
I am study research and evaluation. This is my professor.
Wonderful. You are really lucky to have a good student like him. So, I don't want you to read the questions of student cohesiveness, but open-endedness. And not only read the questions of open-endedness, just tell us, do you believe that these are the questions which are measuring open-endedness? And in your situation, coming from Indonesia, you know, the Indonesian schools, is this an appropriate question? Because what I am giving you, this is a validated questionnaire, but that doesn't mean that you have to use it as it is. You can change it to your needs. And we do need consent of the group we have here. And then only we can measure it coming from measurement and evaluation. And do you know which are the questions? Number 2, 7, 12, 17, 22, 27, and 32. So go ahead.
Once again, I have a pen.
Start with question 2. You don't need to mark it. It's simple. The second question in every segment.
Mungkin ini kita coba membaca, melihat di pertanyaan nomor 2. Di pertanyaan nomor 2, there is opportunity for me to pursue my own science interest in the laboratory class. Di mana kita perlu lihat apakah pertanyaan ini pertanyaan ini cocok nggak dengan situasi sekarang, ataupun bisa nggak kita bisa bisa modifikasi, apakah kita bisa modifikasi untuk bisa diadaptasikan di Indonesia. Sorry, okay, no pressure. Oke, thank you. Oke, nah di sini di nomor 2 kita coba lihat dalam konteks kita, apakah pertanyaan nomor 2 ini masih relate nggak? Kalau ini opini saya dari riset dan evaluasi. Saya lihat tadi saya berdiskusi dengan Ibu yang di depan, juga S3 PEP, kami melihat ternyata ada beberapa pertanyaan itu sepertinya tidak cocok kalau sekarang dalam tiga konteks berbeda. Yang pertama itu di konteks pendidikan di konteks yang rural atau di konteks marginal itu tidak cocok. Kenapa tidak cocok? Karena kan konteksnya laboratorium itu berbeda. Laboratorium di rural itu mungkin sedikit berbeda dengan yang di kota. Dalam konteks yang lain, laboratorium juga mungkin itu seperti alam begitu. Jadi menurut kita semua, pertanyaan nomor 2 ini apakah sepakat dengan persepsi tadi kami berdua atau punya pandangan lain tentang konteks nomor 2 ini gitu. Ada punya pandangan? Sorry kalau perspektif saya sedikit dark di sini. Oh, boleh. Ini sih.
Baca aja, diterjemah.
Oke.
Dibaca nomor 2. 1, 2 lagi.
Which one? You have 2, 7, 12.
Oh, oke.
Dibaca
7,
iya, nomor 2 setiap segmen aja.
nomor 2 setiap segmen. Iya.
Ini kan
Iya.
nomor setiap nomor 2
Setiap nomor 2.
itu dibaca aja. Baca terus menurut kamu, jangan kamu nanya ke forum. Kamu baca, terus kamu berikan opini, terus kamu gitu.
Sorry. Oke, question nomor 7. Ya, 7. In this laboratory class, I am required to design my own experience to solve a given problems. Ya, kalau kita lihat dari nomor 7 ini, ya berbicara tentang bagaimana laboratorium ini membuat eksperimen, membantu saya untuk melakukan eksperimen atau belajar di lingkungan tersebut. Nah, itu kalau konteksnya seperti apa? Kalau bagi saya, ya seperti itu harusnya ya, seperti itu harusnya. Ya, nomor 12, nomor 12. In my laboratory science, other student collection different data that then I do for the same problems. Ya, dari apa ya? Di dalam
Back to question number 12.
Oke. Ya. Ya. Oke. Kalau untuk nomor 12, for me is cocok, good for this questionnaire.
Yeah. Back to question number 12. Can you talk about it? Yeah. In English, speak in Bhasa. Get up, one teacher. Yeah.
So number 12, in my laboratory sessions, the students collect different data from I do for the same problem. It means like each of the students has their own creativity, and then each of them has responsibility. So back in the days when I was in high school, that's biology experience that different data means like different way of thinking. So it means independency. So I agree with this. Yeah. So I chose often. How come? Because not just me, even my students, well, even my very best friends, why they are so different? Because each of us have a very different cognitive skills. So that's why when I chose often, it means like every one of us in this scientific laboratorium has kind of liberty or like freedom in science. So that's why it's very appropriate to my choice, I think. And I believe that as a teacher, as a facilitator, also has different too. So that's why I think often is the appropriate choice. Thank you, madam. That's my choice.
Thank you, Reka. Based on our discussion, actually we come from different generation. Maybe our partner is younger, from Y generation or Z generation, Gen Z. Yeah. She said that I think in item number 12, in my laboratory sessions, other students collect different data than I do for the same problem. When we come to Indonesian context, which is very different in geographical, and then also the limited number of laboratory, I think the students don't have more freedom to collect different data, since the learning is classical. So usually the teacher will ask to collect the same data. That's why I think it is quite unsuitable for Indonesian context. Thank you.
So we have two opinions here. In fact, I would say three. A gentleman here says this is appropriate. Gentleman there says it's appropriate because it's giving freedom and creating a student-centered laboratory. But there's a younger person who's saying it may not be because teacher is not giving that freedom. So what we are here doing, we are challenging the existing environment with the preferred environment. So isn't it important? Through this question, we are exposing open-endedness or absence of open-endedness, and then giving feedback to teacher, hey, you are not open-ended. You need to create some open-ended environment in your class so that students feel more valued and motivated. It's just by asking one question. And we have proved it here. And can we go with other questions, or we leave it to teachers to look at it? I won't bore you any further right now, but you have this questionnaire. Examine it. I will send an e-copy of it to you, but if you could send the Bahasa Indonesia version, that will be more appropriate for teachers, and try using it in your context and see what sort of results you get. It's not for necessarily for having a research paper published out of it. It's getting that instant feedback for your own teaching. But yes, if you progress to a research paper, that's much more valuable and more welcome. I think I'll close with that right now, but I'm open to any questions from your end. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Eka. Before we jump into discussion session, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Yes, we want to do some ice breaking before we jump into discussion session. Mbak Ervina, can you help please? So Mbak Ervina will lead the ice breaking session. Do you have the video? Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Since we've been learning about classroom learning environment, so we thought that it would be interesting for us to experience a different kind of classroom learning experience. So we will play an immersive exercise video. All you need to do, just follow the movement on the screen. No need to be perfect because it's not a competition, yeah. Just have fun and relax. So everyone, please stand up. Let's dance. Please stand up and give yourself a little space so you can feel the middle row. Prof. Eka, please join us. But please join the floor too. Okay. Facing the in. Are you ready? Okay, please play the video. Okay, everyone, let's move.
Step in the floor, come on, shake your shoulders one by one. Big smile, little feet, feel the rhythm in the street.
Clap your hands, make it
Clap,
loud.
everyone
Spin
clap.
around with the crowd. We go easy, we go fun. Everybody join the run. Ready now?
Ready.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Take it low, take it high. Reach up to the sky. One more time.
Down, up,
Let it roll. Hear that cheer, feel
Down.
that heat. Move your body
Wave,
to the
wave,
beat.
wave.
Left,
left,
we dance
right
all
hand,
day.
left hand, right hand, left hand.
Come on, play. Hands up high. Touch the sky.
Oke. Ke pinggang Bapak Ibu.
Kick one foot,
Okay,
then switch,
waving
turn
kick.
the corner, catch the twist. Wave hello, wave goodbye, jump so high, almost touch the sky.
Bend down low, stand tall, find your groove, have a ball. Brothers, sisters, moms and dads, everybody going mad. Ready now? Here we go. Take it low, take it high. Reach up
Wave,
to the
wave,
sky.
wave.
One more
Hands down,
time.
hands up.
Let it roll.
Wave, wave, wave.
Hear that
Hands
cheer,
down,
feel that heat. Move your body
Wave,
to the
wave,
beat.
wave.
Hey.
Left, right,
Okay.
we dance all day. Left, right,
Wave, wave.
Left, right, hands up high. Left, right, touch
Still
the
waving, still waving. Okay. Hop, hop.
Say hey, say ho. Big white grin and away we go. Left, right,
Move,
we dance all day. Left, right,
move forward and backward.
left, right, hands up high. Left, right,
touch the sky.
left, right,
We dance all day. Left, right, come on, play. Left, right, hands up high. Left, right, touch the sky.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I hope it helped. Please sit down. I hope it helped for increasing the energy in the classroom. Thank you, Mbak Ci.
Thank you, Mbak Ervina. Yes. So, are you relaxed now? Hello? Okay. Before we jump into the discussion, so I will open 2 questions first. Okay. Okay, I already see hands. Okay. So maybe first Bapak Randi.
Thank you, Ibu Oci. Thank you very much, Prof. To UNJ, you present to today, meanings to allow to me and give me deeper insight to learning environment. I would like apologize in advance. My English speaking is not very strong, but I can understand what do you explain to me. Once again, my name is Randi, a master student in education research and evaluation at UNJ. Research focus on the learning environment of tutor in non-formal education. Non-formal education means it non-formal. It means alternative education. My main question is despite geography, regulatory, economic, and social challenge, why do non-formal tutors keep teaching? And to answer this, I am build a selective hybrid framework, Bandura theory for personal behavior environment interaction. There are 3 dimensions from most social ecology theory as the base on one or 2 dimensions from SLK as a benchmark, and the other 2 dimensions from most will be developed from andragogy theory and community theory to fit non-formal education. My question is this hybrid model, which bring together Bandura, MOS, andragogy, and community theory to understand the interaction between rules, facilities, and tutor psychology, reasonable and acceptable as a new theoretical framework from learning environment research? This is my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a question. No, he had to give the background to the study he is doing. I might have struggled to understand a few bits, and I might have many more questions to scaffold how you have designed your study. But to answer your question in brief, I would say this is yes, doable. As I wrapped up with saying, you need to know your research questions or research aims and are you going to generate answers for your research questions? If your methodology based on the framework you have developed, which is based on Bandura's social cognitive theory, is giving answers or is creating answers for your questions, it is perfect. Then saying that it is a new framework, I would doubt that. If you do a thorough research, there has been a lot of research in non-formal education using Bandura's theory, because Bandura's focus was on non-formal education. His focus was on environmental education way before we became aware of the climate change and many other issues in that area. There will be lots of studies not having exactly the same framework you have developed, but there will be studies where social cognitive theory has been used in out of class study. So I would say in brief, yes, it is doable. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Anyone else?
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you very much for the wonderful presentation, Prof. Reka. So valuable knowledge for me, especially. My name is Tirta. I'm from Early Childhood Education Program. First, I want to explain a little bit. So, although Indonesian regulation law number 20/2003 or law number 8 2060, government regulation number 30 etc. strictly mandate inclusive education, many early childhood centers are forced to comply without adequate guidelines, leaving children with special needs as mere strengths. So, drawing from Prof. Reka Cole's presentation on variables such as teacher personality, class size, and classroom climate, how does Australia intervene in these key variables to ensure inclusion goes beyond regulatory compliance, and which observation-based learning environment instruments from Australia are most adaptable for Indonesian ESEC Early Childhood Education Program, setting to ensure children's authentic participation? Thank you very much, Prof.
Sorry, it's Kripa, your name?
My name is Tirta.
Tirta. Tirta, thank you for raising a very, very good question. First of all, let me make clear that it's practically impossible to do learning environment research in early childhood settings because students are young children, early childhood people will not be able to give us feedback on the questionnaires. So none of the questionnaire till now has been validated for in early childhood settings. We started with learning environment research did start with high school students, and then we do have number of questionnaires which have been validated in primary as well as tertiary education settings. So learning environment research does not apply directly to early education, early childhood education, but we do use these tools with teachers in early childhood education. And one of your questions which you have asked about the pressure put on teachers when we talk about inclusive education and children with special needs, it's become a world scenario where we used to have special schools, and all over the world special schools are closing, and trend was started by USA, then Europe and Australia followed the league, and now I see that for at least last 10 years, I would say, developing world is also following the same lead, and Indonesia as such is not left, has not left anything behind. And it does put there are different ways of thinking. Is if we segregate children with special needs right from the beginning and don't give them a feeling of what actual society looks like, they will be left behind. And even with children who don't have special needs, they don't get to see the students who have special needs. They don't develop that empathy for them. They don't see them as equal. And tomorrow when they go in work of world, it is them and us. Otherwise, if you bring them together from the beginning, they are brought up as a part of society. Now, it depends upon you. How do you want to see the society? I would like an inclusive society. But in a classroom, it does put a lot of pressure on teacher. So what Australia is doing, I won't say that they're doing to the best of capacity. I won't say that the classrooms are really well resourced, but in a classroom where we have, depending on the number of students who need special attention, and depending upon the quantity of need, educational assistants are appointed so that teacher has some extra help in the classroom. So that's what can be done even in Indonesia, and I'm pretty sure there will be some support provided to teachers. But yes, it is changing the educational scenario, but looking at it from a wider perspective, I think it's a better model for future. Otherwise, children thinking about me or us. And if we have children with special needs in the same cohort, it becomes us. That's what we are trying to incorporate. And if you remember what I started with, it's not one person we are looking at. Yeah, thank you. Yes, please.
One more question, please.
Okay. Oh, there is.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah,
Reka.
when it is, they can email.
Okay. I'm Nurul from Doctoral Research and Evaluation Education. I am currently developing a science or in Indonesia IPA, Deep Learning Involvement Instrument for junior high school student or SMP. Itu as part of my dissertation. My question is the first. Indonesia has an academic manuscript on deep learning. Itu that have the deep learning involvement in the manuscript. Subsequently, I developed an instrument whose theoretical foundation does not derive from that academic manuscript, but rather from other theory. My theory with from UBOS with QTI, Taylor with Slash, and Fraser with Wahid. That yes, and deep learning with from Fulan and the article from Rukama. That's okay.
but rather from other, but the sample drawn from Indonesia to make a validation and payability. What is Professor Reka view of this matter? Maksudnya boleh tidak ketika memang saya teorinya itu tidak mengambil dari naskah akademiknya Indonesia tentang deep learning, tapi dari lain gitu. Tapi ininya nanti ketika saya untuk uji cobanya saya menggunakan siswa SMP di Indonesia. That's first question. After that, the second, epistemology, the development of the science deep learning environment instrument is teorinya from grounded in hybrid framework that integritas theory from that's Ubers, Fraser, and Taylor. But what would be the appropriate validation produced from this instrument? The step, maksudnya gini, langkahnya sama tidak ketika memang saya mengambil secara epistemologi untuk lingkungan pembelajaran IPA itu dari QTI, terus Slash dan YHIC itu, apakah untuk memvalidasi, karena kan menjadi hybrid itu, apakah nanti untuk memvalidasinya itu tahapannya sama dengan yang seperti tadi Prof. Reka jelaskan, ataukah ada perbedaan? Lalu ada lagi ini sesuai dengan psikometrik, mungkin saya pakai bahasa Indonesia, nggak apa-apa, mumpung ketemu profnya. Iya tahu, mumpung ketemu Prof. Reka, langkah. Ada yang namanya 13 properti psikometrik. Apakah itu harus ketika kita mengembangkan instrumen, apakah itu harus 13 properti psikometrik itu harus kita gunakan seluruhnya. Itu saja, terima kasih. Thank you. Ya.
With all instruments, you will have to go through that process. And it seems you have adopted all the 3 questionnaires from my group where we have been working, QTI, WIC, and constructivist learning environment. That's, you didn't, although you didn't say constructivist click, is because I could make it when it said Fraser and Taylor. That's the constructivist learning environment questionnaire. You will have to go through the steps for validation. And it depends upon, again, your research questions, what all will need to be done. And these are, if you are not making any changes to the language, you may not need to go for face validation. You may not need to go for the construct validation. It depends upon your research questions, but I would say that is the checklist, and you can say based on your research aims or questions, I'm doing this, I'm not doing this. I'm doing this, I'm not doing this. But do consult with your supervisor before you take any decisions. Thank you. No, that's what I said. Make this checklist, discuss with your supervisor, and then decide, because you're not developing a new tool. You're adopting a pre-developed, pre-validated tool. So you may not need to go through the review of literature to develop a tool, but you will need to do is establish reliability with your cohort. Then, depending upon the number of your respondents, if you have small respondent numbers, you cannot do factor analysis. You do need a significant number of respondents to do the factor analysis. So that's why I'm saying discuss with your supervisor what all you will be doing. You may not be, if you're only establishing reliability, in your thesis, you will say that functional validity was established. But if you wanted to go for the full validity, then in that case, you have to go through the other tests as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Eka Cole, for the very well explanation. Can you give it a round of applause? Okay. Thank you so much for such wonderful discussion today. So unfortunately, we have limited time, so we have to make it to an end. Once again, let's give a round of applause for Professor Eka Cole. Thank you, Prof. Eka. Hmm. As a token of our appreciation for the knowledge shared with us today, we will now present a plaque or certificate to Professor Eka Cole from Professor Setiabudi, please, for giving the plaque. Kameramen, ya, Bapak tolong. Oke. Mhm. For another gift from UNJ. Yes. Okay. Thank you. For the last session, we want to take a group photo together, all of us, please. Yes, of course. Kameramen, Bapak, dari depan aja Pak, biar ya foto untuk satu grup kelas. Duduk di depan. Yes, please. Professors. Oke. Ya, nanti di-share aja. Yang di belakang boleh mungkin agak merapat ke depan. Allahu Akbar. Ya. Boleh Bapak kameramennya kemana ya? Oh, ya udah di depan. Oke. Sini. Oke, boleh. Boleh dilihat kameramennya? Bapak, boleh lihat kameramen? 1, 2. Bingung Bapaknya. Kalau Pak, boleh? Baik, terima kasih semuanya. So our discussion and event is end here. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.